Tapping into life, we're ready to shine. With every step forward, we're crossing the line. Embrace the hustle, let the fire ignite. Together we rise, we'll conquer the night.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Tapping into Life podcast. I am your spiritual life coach, Matthew B., back with another episode, thought-provoking, juicy, hot topic for you all to not only enjoy, but to think on. Maybe spark some conversation. Maybe it's an insight on enlightenment on your everyday life. So come on in. Before we get started, remember to share, like, tag a friend, tell a friend, email a friend, text a friend. And if you're old school, write a friend a letter, okay? And tell them that we over here in the living room and we tapping into our lives, the lives that we were meant to live in, the lives that we were meant to enjoy, the lives that holds the truth within ourselves. So come on in. Grab your pad, grab your pen, put your jammies on, get you a snack, get you a drink, get you something to make you feel comfortable, because we here to talk about another topic. And for the first time since this podcast, I am not drinking coffee. I am drinking tea. One of my favorite brands of teas is the Tazo, however you pronounce it. Whatever it is, I like it. Love the varieties. All of it tastes good to me. And furthermore, just like many millions of Americans, when the seasons change and the temperatures go up and down, sometimes those allergies kick your butt. And I, for the past week, have really been dealing with my allergies. And so I am sipping on some tea with some raw honey and a couple of cough drops, because at the end of the day, I have a long month ahead of me. And I need to be able to have a voice and not be at home because I can't have a voice to do my job, because my job requires me to have a voice, both my career and my spiritual assignment. So, with that being said, we are here to address the madness, okay? Because it's madness. And everybody, Matthew, what do you mean? What's the madness? We all know what the madness is that's circling around this country. We all know what the madness is. We're talking about the racism, the hate, right? The simple fact that two political parties that is designed to govern the country can't come to a compromise to keep the normal function of this company at bay. We're talking about how some of us are receiving backlash and some of us are receiving criticism for being sad that someone passed away. We're in this state of mind to where if you don't think like me and feel like how I feel and do as I do, then I'm going to cast you aside, throw you away, and you're not invited to the cookout. We are dealing with sheer madness. And I remember when, as I am only 34, I remember when a lot of this stuff, it was there, but it wasn't there. It wasn't as impactful and it wasn't as crazy and chaotic, and it was actually controlled at some point. But now it's the total opposite. Now it's, violence is now being inflicted because of thoughts, because of opinions. And I understand, as we get into it, I understand that everybody has a right to an opinion. I do. I do. It's just like it's just like a heart. Everybody has a beating heart. Okay. You know, some people say opinions are like bum holes. Everybody has one. Okay. We'll we'll take that. We'll take that. At the same time, just because you have a right to an opinion does not mean that your opinion should be expressed. Does not mean your opinions should be stated, especially when you truly and honestly don't know the discipline that comes with having an opinion. First, you got to understand what the definition of an opinion is. The definition of an opinion is constructing or producing a thought without sound factual information. Generally governed on how one feel about a particular topic or person. That's an opinion or thing. That's an opinion. In my opinion, orange is a horrible color. In my opinion, football is better than basketball. In my opinion, you know, this singer does, you know, has produced more of a catalog than this singer. You know, we're going by how we feel and not by factual information. Okay. That's the definition of an opinion. Now, the discipline that comes with an opinion, is if I am not going to take the time. Okay, let me backtrack. Discipline that comes with an opinion is though I feel a certain type of way about something, I not express that in a way that it may come off harmful, excuse me, harmful, hateful, hurtful, or offensive. If I'm not going to take the time to receive factual information, I need to express my opinion in a way that's not hurtful, harmful, hateful, offensive. Right? So, for example, now me, I despise the color orange. Okay. When it comes to me wearing orange. Now, I love the color. I just despise it when it's on a piece of fabric, when it's the main color of a piece of fabric and it's put on me. In my opinion, I hate the color orange on me. Right? But that's my opinion. That's how I feel about me wearing orange. But for me to say the color orange is a horrendous color, and if anybody decides they want to wear orange, like how dare y'all do that? That's placing a sense of judgment on somebody because they woke up in the morning and decided to wear the color orange. Just because it don't work out for me does not mean that I express my disdain, my uncomfortability and my hatred for this color as it pertains to it being put as a primary color on clothes. Y'all get what I'm saying? Now, I'm using this example and this whole thing with opinions because now one's opinion in this country has driven multiple people crazy, right? You get one person that say something that go against the normality and the basic normal flow of this country, all hell breaks loose. Okay. Now, with that being said, opinions should not have any form of judgment or hatred. So so at that point, what is an opinion? At that point, an opinion is just hatred. If it exemplifies hatred, then it's hatred. If it exemplifies judgment, then it's judgment. If it exemplifies anything that may be offensive, then it's offensive. Me saying that, in my opinion, red cars are not the best color car to have. That's my opinion. Was I disrespectful to anybody? Did I hurt anybody? Did I hurt anybody's feelings? Was I hateful to anybody? Did I offend anybody? No, I did not. I just said how I felt about a car. And it was what we have to remember when it comes down to opinions. We have to be respectful. Otherwise, it's not an opinion. Otherwise, it's judgment. Otherwise, it's hate. And some people may say, well, yeah, I have the right to say what I want to say and express my opinions. And you do. By all means, you have the right to say your opinions and stand 10 toes down in them. And at the same time, when it becomes disrespectful, at the same time, when it becomes judgmental and hurtful and hateful, you can't be alarmed and walk around here with the expectation that the offended, that the hurt, that the hate, that the person who you spoke hate on is not going to respond and they're not going to react. And then when they do respond, when they do react, you can't dictate how they respond or react. I'm trying to figure out how we're in this whole world to where somebody can say something or do something to somebody, right? I'm not gonna say do. I'm gonna say. I'm trying to figure out how we can say any and everything about any person, any gender, any religion, any community of people. But then when those said members in that community respond, we feel that we have the right to quantify the intensity of that response. We feel that we have the right to say, yeah, I said it, but you didn't have to do this. This is too much. This is just too extreme. You cannot dictate how somebody responds to something that you have said. I don't know what kind of world or false reality that we are waking up in, but I said something about somebody's mama, and that person comes and pop me in my face with a two-piece. I can't get mad and say, yeah, I said something about your mama, but you ain't have to punch me in my face. You can't do that. You can't do that. Yeah, I said something offensive that don't mean that you go to my job and get me fired. You can't dictate how somebody responds. Now, does some of these actions a bit too far? Yes. Are some of these actions a bit extreme? Yes. Are some of these actions petty and immature and wrong? Absolutely. But at the same time, I can't go to my brother and my sister and dictate and try to tell them how to respond to something that offended them because or made them feel some type of way. Because at the end of the day, what offends you at level 1 may offend somebody at level 5. What hurts you at level 3 may offend me at level 10. Somebody might call you out your name and be like, all right, whatever. And you be cool with it. Somebody might call me outside of my name, and next time I see him, it's literally on site. So, which I'm more of a calmer person now, but y'all get what I'm saying. We can't, this whole thing of responding, reacting. You know what I'm saying? Your opinion is your opinion. But my thing is, why are we letting somebody feel, compromise, and dictate the fate of our reality? Okay. I know y'all enjoying your Friday. I know y'all enjoying your Saturday. I know y'all enjoyed your weekend. I know some of y'all have reset and relaxed. I know some of y'all are out here partying. I understand that. I know some of y'all had to go to work. I understand some of y'all had to be parents. I get that. I get that. But let's come to the living room. Let's come to the living room. Y'all sit down. Okay. Y'all sit down. All right. Because I really want us to understand how we are letting somebody's opinion about us or the community that our humanness resides in, we're letting somebody's opinion dictate and govern our reality. Y'all take that in. We have experienced a very horrific time in this great country. Okay. Now, we have experienced an uprise or an increase in the racial tension. This war between religion, this war between right wing and left wing, Republican, Democrat, we hate has really exemplified and have really, really, really increased the strength of division in this country. It really has. Because last time I checked, now this was in the 90s, early 2000s, where Republicans and Democrats disagree from a political standpoint can still come together under the same roof and enjoy each other's presence. But the only difference is one may vote Democrat, the other one may vote Republican. That's it. It was more so of that in the 90s and early 2000s. It was more so of that. You didn't have a lot of, I hate you because you're Republican. No, I hate you because you're a Democrat. It wasn't like that. We didn't have that. Right? Where the topic of the LGBT community, abortion, so many topics were discussed, and either one side, one person really got into somebody's head and said, with their knowledge and their wisdom, and that person be like, you know what, you're right. You're right. Or both parties just mutually agreed to disagree. Right. Y'all remember that? I know now, if you were born, some people may not remember those times. But I remember those times. I remember to where though we had our differences and that at times the conversations may have been a bit intense, but at the end of the day we were still able to express who we are, govern ourselves accordingly, and in the times of need help each other out. And there was no hate. There wasn't the level of hate back then, you know, was not as strong as it was. You had a handful of racist people. You had a handful of homophobic people. And if there were more than a handful of homophobic people, these people were just indifferent. They didn't give a care one way or the other. You had, you know, the way we treat women and their rights to get paid fairly and to be treated as fair as a man, though that was slowly coming up, like that whole movement was slowly but surely changing, as now we see more women in positions that that men were in than we did way back when. Okay, but the point I'm trying to make is I'm a bit confused as to when did we start nailing each other to the wall because we don't think like each other. And this brother over here don't think like that sister over there. And this white man don't think like that black man. And this Asian man don't think like this Native American man. And these women over here feel this is how this is how you should be a woman. And this group of women over here feel as if though you should be a woman. This is how you should be a woman. Oh, we don't agree? Okay, we ready to fight. We don't agree? We ready to get on social media and blast and be disrespectful and hurtful. I mean, what is said now, and we've all said or have known someone who have said some very, 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 very hurtful things. Whether we were those ones, whether someone said them to us, or whether we know someone who was on the giving or receiving end. We've all said some very, very hurtful things. But the level, the intensity of the hurt and the hateful and the offensive things now is out of this world. Is out of. I'm gonna be honest with you. 15 years ago, I would not have said half. And though I was a hellraiser and I was rough around the edges as a young adult, I would not have said half of what these people say now. I would not have said half what these people say now. When I tell you the intensity is so strong now, and the hatefulness, and the hurt, and that energy that's being put behind these insults and these calling outs. When I tell you it is so strong, now would have made me look nice back then. And I had a slick tongue. But now the things people say now would have made me look like an angel back then. And for those who know me, that says a lot. Now I look at stuff, I'm like, I would never. Even in my less peaceful moment in life, even in my depressed moment in life, even in my hell-raising part of life, I would have never said half or a fraction of a half of a fraction of what these people say now. Like, it is horrible the things that we say when we feel that nobody agrees with us. We just throwing each other away and canceling each other because people don't agree with us. And it is hurtful. And it does bother people. And it does make people feel some type of way. Now, though, I can sit up there and say, well, yeah, I see why you punched him in the face. Or I see why you said this and this and this. Now, was that the best way to handle that? Probably not. But I understand, because if the little boy in me never grew up and made his way into 2025, I probably would have said some stuff far worse than that as I adapt to what I can say and get away with. You know what I'm saying? So, but it's just, it bothers me as a human seeing people go back and forth, right? And how we are letting one's opinion shake up our normal everyday life. I wake up feeling wonderful, feeling happy. I turn on the radio, or as I'm washing my face and brushing my teeth, I hear something on my phone about what somebody said about, what somebody said about black people, what somebody said about gay people, what somebody said about this generation, and now I'm in this funk because, oh, what that one person said, that opinion of that one person bothered me. And what we have to realize is that says a lot, not just about that person, that says a lot about where we are in our journey. Okay. And see, this is where we need to hold ourselves accountable, not with what's being said, but we need to hold ourselves accountable in how we respond to things. You have every right to go to hell off on somebody who said something offensive or hurtful to you. But there's a tactful way of doing it. There is a way to saying, damn, I should have never said that to that brother, that sister, because she just went off on me. Or he just went off on me. But you, as that brother or that sister, have utilized the tactfulness and the discipline behind responding to somebody, or what we like to call clap back. Right? So, excuse me. And this is where we mess up. This is where we mess up. We've gotten to the point to where somebody say one thing, it all hell breaks loose, and it now compromises the foundation and the structure of our humanness. And not only does it compromise and shake the foundation of our humanness, it also, at the end of the day, highlights exactly how strong the structure of our humanness and our humanist, what I've just lost my train of thought. oh my goodness, Lord have mercy. Y'all forgive me. What it does, it also highlights the stability, that's the word, of our humanness and how stabilized we are as individual beings in this journey in life, in the atmospheres that we share, in the communities that we reside in. It that says a lot about us, right? And the old teaching, and this saying was from, if I'm not mistaken, ancient Japanese teachings, where they say, if you argue with a fool, then onlookers won't know which one of y'all are the actual fool. If you argue with a fool, the onlookers won't know which one of y'all are the fool. So what do you mean by that? What I mean by that is, if you are jumping the 10 and going the hell off on somebody because they said something to you or out the way to you, if you are at that level and you're matching their energy, at the end of the day, which one of y'all are in the right and which one of y'all are in the wrong? To be honest with you, nobody knows. Because if I see two people arguing back and forth, and I'm like, what happened? And this person over here said, well, he says, and then this person over here is saying, he said this and this and this and this and this and this. And y'all keep going back and forth. I don't know who right and who wrong. Well, at this point, both of y'all wrong because y'all going back and forth. But I don't know who's the more mature one that just so happened to lose his or her way at that moment. And which one of y'all who is the actual fool? So what, Matthew? Are you saying that it's ignorant to argue with people who poke, and poke? Yes. Yes. Why? Why are we arguing with people who are on that immature level? We are saying, as grown men and women, that we are on this mature level. If we say we grown, we gotta act grown, right? With being grown and being an adult comes with maturity, discipline. And I understand that there's some adults who just ain't there yet, and that's fine. May God work on them. But what I'm saying is, if Matthew is saying that I am grown, I'm sure, I love who I am, I'm secure about me, then why am I going toe to toe with somebody who has an opinion about, about something, and that opinion conflicts with how I feel about me? Why am I arguing about that? Why am I going to get ready yelling up in this person's face, waving my finger, cussing this brother or this sister out, doing A, B, C, X, Y, Z, when at the end of the day, I love me. If I love me, and if I'm comfortable with me, and if I know who I am, if I'm working on me, if I know that these are my flaws, these can get in the way sometimes, but I'm working on them. If I know that these are my weaknesses, but one day they're going to be strength. If I know that I am standing 10 toes down in my journey to make me a better me, why at the end of the day am I arguing with this brother or this sister over here because they have an opinion that conflicts with what I'm doing in my journey and the knowledge that I have about myself? I mean, are we getting it? Are we getting it? And I'm saying we because there's sometimes, and I'm still in this process, you know, and I'm learning and I'm getting better every day. I'm far better than what I was from day one. But there's some moments that I have to ask myself, Matthew, are you getting it? So I'm not coming and attacking anybody. I'm just saying we're having this conversation. I am including myself because some of the stuff, a lot of the stuff that I bring forth to you all, I am either experiencing it now and have learned a great deal of things, or have experienced it in the past and have learned a great deal of things. So, are we getting it? Are we? If we are so secure in who we are, why at the end of the day are we allowing an opinion that somebody says about us or the communities that our humanist resides in? Why are we getting so worked up? We getting worked up. We ready to fight. We getting angry. Blood pressure through the roof. Stress level through the roof. Heart attack, stroke, aneurysm. Stress level is like in a whole different atmosphere, the whole different universe. Because of what somebody said. And here's the thing, y'all ready? One thing I learned is that I learned. Why am I going to sit here and argue with somebody who don't know a fraction of about me? All right, let me break that down to you. If I am on a journey to know who I am as the individual, and if people have became knowledgeable about my existence through perception, why am I going to go back and forth with individuals who don't know the totality and the entirety of me? If I'm going on this spiritual journey, this self journey, this self-full journey, trying to figure out who I am, where I am meant to be in this life, what is my spiritual assignment, who am I? Who am I as a person, as a spiritual existence? What is my definition? What is the person or that God wants me to be? If I'm going through all of this and every day I'm learning chunks and chunks and chunks about who I am, and here I am years later, I'm far better than who I was back then. So if we're in 2025 and I'm knowing so much more about me, why am I arguing with somebody about me when they only know a fraction about me by way of a perception? I know more about me by way of a reality. Okay, y'all get it now? Y'all get it now? Are we there yet? Are, do y'all understand what I'm saying? So we're gonna go to this certain individual, and here's where some people may agree, some people may disagree, and we may have agree to disagree. That's fine. Just be respectful, okay? So we're gonna go to this individual who just so happened his life was taken from him, right? And so this man goes by the name of Charlie Kirk. And rest in peace to him. God rest his soul. That's all I have to say about that. And so unfortunately, somebody took his life. For reason to me, the reasons are not reasoning, right? Like to me, what's being said from the media and from law enforcement and the people who are, you know, investigating this whole ordeal, that's still it's still not. I wouldn't say it's not making sense, but I wouldn't say it is making sense. I'm kind of like, because on one side I feel, yeah, you know, there is this thing called political violence. For some reason, we are so butthurt from somebody's political viewpoint that we get angry enough to take the life from somebody. But then again, I wouldn't even call it political violence. I wouldn't call it political violence. I would call it hate speech. I would call it someone who has forgotten the definition and the discipline that comes with an opinion. I would call it your perception got the best of you. That's what I would call it. I wouldn't even call it political violence. Now, some people may disagree and say, well, Matthew, it is political violence. Okay. But I wouldn't call it political violence. I would say that this man said some things that really made some people mad. And it was targeting race, religion, gender, sexual orientation. And those are the four things that, for some reason, we as a country are focusing more on than the social economic structure and the economy of this country. But okay. So that was the reason, you know, his views on certain things really, you know, yeah, no, I'm gonna stand 10 toes down. That was not political violence. That was just some hateful stuff that this man had said and may have tried to attach political violence, attach politics to it and wrap it up in a political standpoint. But I don't think it was political violence. Okay. So he said how he felt about uh, 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 multiple minorities of people. Let's be clear. He said what he said about Hispanics. He said what he said about Middle Eastern. He said what he said about Black people. He said, I mean, he said what he said about a lot of, not just a particular race, but multiple races. He said what he said about abortion. He said what he said about women and their rights. He said what he said about LGBT rights. Okay. And that bothered people. That got people pissed off. First of all, I never knew the man even existed until it was on the news that he got assassinated. I didn't know who this man was. I'm not into politics like that. I am into politics enough to be aware of what's going on. But I am not into politics or who have a political platform. I'm not into that. That's not my thing. That's not my thing. Okay. Some of y'all may be into the politics and stuff like that. That's not my thing. Because at the end of the day, no man or woman sitting in a position of power is God. No man or woman sitting in a political position is God. So by that being said, this shit don't scare me. By that being said, this shit don't bother me. It doesn't. Now, do I feel the hurt and the pain from others? Yes. Do I feel the sympathy? Yes. Do I feel the empathy? Yes. Am I gonna get stressed out and pull my facial hair out because they got no hair on my head, but stressed out and blood pressure through the roof and all of this? Absolutely not. Because I know that I bow down to a higher power. I serve a higher power. And this higher power does not sit in any political office, whether it's in the White House, whether it's in the Supreme Court, whether it's in Congress. So me, I don't get affected by that. I mean, I'm get affected, but I don't get ramped up over this. Okay. But I understand for those who may do. I understand that. I can't judge you because you letting this get you worked up. I can't do that. Not to help you maneuver through it, but I can't judge you or condemn you or say that you're crazy and you're stupid for feeling how you feel about this. All right. That's all I have to say about that. But the thing about it is, so he said what he said. Okay. There's a divide where it's always been a division. but the division has yet again cracked some more. Okay. It has. I understand that there are some not so nice people. I understand that there are some people who may have said some very hurtful things. I understand that. I'm very aware of that. I'm very conscious of that. That people may say some things that are offensive, disrespectful, hurtful, hateful. I understand those things. However, I am a human, and this is just my view. I am a human who, unless it's by the hands of God himself, I am a human who do not believe in a life being taken away. That's just me. Unless God has something to do and God sent the angel of death down and said, here's your number. I'm calling your name. Time's up. Unless that's the case, you taking somebody's life because of what somebody have said, that ain't it. Number one. Number two, you finding joy in the fact that someone has died. You finding joy that someone has gotten murdered, that's a problem. That's a problem. And see, here's the thing. So before everybody get all ramped up and in their feelings, take your thong out your ass and listen to what I got to say. What I'm trying to say is, you don't have boo-hoo crying. You do not have to be in tears and stressed out in a whole different headspace and sad as sad can get because somebody passed away or somebody got assassinated. You ain't got to. That's understandable. But just because you don't feel that way does not mean that you find joy in the fact that someone's life had gotten taken. It's really interesting to me how this man said what he said. His life was taken. Y'all, some of, I'm not gonna say some of us, but some people are finding joy in this. When at the end of the day, had that would have been your mama, had that would have been your daddy, had that would have been your husband or wife, your child, your cousin, your best friend, your grandpa or grandma, had that would have been somebody who is close to you or a family member or your child, you would have lost your everlasting mind. Despite the things that he or she may have said, you would have lost your everlasting mind. You would have gotten on social media and you would have said, though I do not feel or agree with everything he said, y'all need to stop doing this and this and this and this and this and this and this. Now tell me how many of us would not have done that. I may not agree with everything my parents or my siblings or my aunts and uncles and my family members say. I may not agree with everything that they say. But does that warrant someone to take their life? No, it absolutely does not. And it's also strange to me how we are sitting here going in on this dude. We are going in on this dude. First of all, I'm trying to figure out how you're going to go in on somebody who is not physically present on this earth, who is not here on this earth. Like they going to hear what you're saying. You know, and I'm not trying to be funny, but come on now. Why are you going to talk junk about somebody who is not living as if though they can hear it? It's strange to me how people have an opinion about this man when now that he's gone, but didn't know who he was way back when he was living. So that lets me know right out there. That lets me know right out there, your perception, or you're not, I'm not going to say perception, your opinion is now being based off a false narrative. Your opinion is, I'm not going to say false narrative. Yeah, I'm going to say false narrative. I'm going to say false narrative because the thing about it is you didn't know him. You didn't know him. But it's how you have a strong opinion about somebody you didn't know existed. That's really strange to me. Hold on one second, y'all. Sorry, y'all. That was my mama. but no, like you finding joy in somebody else's death. Like I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to wrap my head around it. And I remember posting, I think like a few days after it happened, I posted something on Facebook and everybody was like, well, you know, he was saying stuff about the Black community. You know, he was saying stuff about, you know, LGBT community. I'm very aware of that. I'm very aware of that. Absolutely. I'm very aware of that. But I'm not going to hop on your bandwagon because he said something that offended your community or communities that your humanists reside in. That's an issue you have with what he said. Because everything that he said about LGBT, everything that he said about the Black community, that doesn't affect me. And it's not saying that I'm off on my island all by my lonesome. No, that means that how he feels about communities that my humanists reside in, that's how he feels about those communities. Okay. At the end of the day, his opinion is not going to affect my paycheck. At the end of the day, his opinion is not going to pay off my car payments. His opinion is not going to pay your portion of rent. His opinion is not going to buy me a house. His opinions are not going to buy me clothes. His opinions are not going to buy me food. His opinions are not going to help me get closer to God. His opinions are not going to help me fulfill the spiritual assignment God gave me. It is not going to help me be, that husband in the future. It's not going to help me be the best dad in the world. It is not going to help me be able to water my plants and nourish my plants to where my plants don't be dying on me. It's not his opinion, and how he feels does not affect how I move as a black man. It does not affect how I move as a gay man. I don't care how hard he come at the communities. It doesn't affect me. Because at the end of the day, I'm still going to get up. I'm going to hop in my car. I'm going to clock in, work 8 hours, clock out, come home, eat my dinner, watch some TV, maybe play some video games, go to bed. And every 2 weeks, a deposit will hit my bank account. That is it. That is all. I mean, and his opinion is not going to affect the future. So when I do get to that point to where I do not have to work a 9 to 5, his opinion is not going to affect that, because I'm going to do it regardless. He did not create my life. Therefore, he or whatever it is that he has to say does not dictate anything about my life. So like I said, I'm very aware of what's going on. I'm very aware of what the man said. I've listened to some of the stuff the man said, and as nice as he tried to patent it up, I cringed. However, I'm not going to get worked up over it. I'm not going to lose my mind over it. I'm not going to get so angry that I go buy a weapon and take this man's life. And I'm not going to be happy that this man passed away. Am I sad that his life ended? Yes. At the same time, all right, this is where, you go, well, on the other hand, or on the flip side, we're going to go on the other hand and we're going to flip the side over. On this end, people got to really, 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 really start watching the things that they say out of their mouth. Really, this is the moment in time to where this is the season of accountability, right? We have to start taking accountability. And if we do not take accountability voluntarily, we will be forced to take accountability involuntarily. All right. We got to start watching what we say out our mouth. I always, in my adulthood, as I became more, grew more and more and more into adulthood, I learned a lot of things. I am still learning a lot of things. But one thing I learned was, in order to live a peaceful life, you are to work in silence and mind your business. What does that mean, Matthew? Well, for those who are so Christian, that would be in the Bible, okay? But what it means is, in order to live a life without unnecessary drama and unnecessary foolishness, focus on whatever it is that God has for you. Focus on whatever his spiritual assignment is. Focus on whatever earthly responsibility he has you doing. Focus on getting good grades. You go to school, you get a degree, or if you don't go to school, you get a good job, make more money. Focus on falling in love. Focus on having kids, being the best parent, being the best dog dad or cat mom or whatever. Focus on all of that. Focus on buying that house. Focus on starting that business, and focus on getting you together first and foremost internally, so you'll be able to align yourself with the self that is required for you to receive these things that God has for you. And don't worry about what everybody else got going on. If your assignment does not require you or does not warrant your presence in somebody else's business to help better them, to help better them so that they can go further along down the yellow road, then you stay yourself over here in your business and work in silence. Don't tell everybody what you're doing. Don't say things prematurely. If it ain't authorized for you to say nothing, keep your mouth shut. Everybody don't need to know everything that you do. Everybody don't need to know every move that you make. Your left hand don't need to know what your right hand is doing. This is one of the things that I learned. And with that being said, I've learned that if I'm not going to go through the process of finding factual information out to even have a perception, because opinions don't go by facts. Perceptions may, but opinions. If I am not going to do the work to receive the factual information to at least have a perception, then I am going to keep my mouth shut. Even if I am very knowledgeable about what's going on, I'm still going to keep my mouth shut. Why? Because it does not have nothing to do with what God has assigned me to do on the face of this planet. That may be your ministry. Okay, cool. Just because I'm not in your ministry don't mean you take your behind over here and be disrupting me in my ministry. This is my ministry over here. Love, light, walking with people, telling them how to heal, self-discovery, identifying trauma, balanced life, that thing. That thing. My ministry is not highlighting what's going on Capitol Hill or in the White House or on the Supreme Court. Like that ain't got nothing to do with me. Am I aware? Yes. Do I have an opinion about a lot of stuff? Heck yeah. But do that mean that I'm just going to go and just start ranting my opinions on every damn thing that I have an opinion on? No. And that's the problem. We are getting so wrapped up on stuff that has nothing to do with us. If the man says something about race, about a particular race, he ain't the only one. We getting ramped up because one man says something about race. At the same time, we have people in political positions as of this moment who have said some very nasty things about particular races of people. So why, if he said if that's how he feel, that's how he feel. You can't force this to feel any different. When he spoke hate, okay, he spoke hate, but guess who has to answer to that hate? Not you. Guess who has to answer to that hate and take full responsibility of what he said out his mouth? Not you. Not the racists that he attacked, not the LGBT community, not women. He has to take responsibility on that. That's on him. That is on him. So who are we to play God? Yet we wonder. This is. We believe God exists. This is okay. However, we believe he exists. However, that looks as it pertains to how he has presented himself in our lives. Okay. So let's just let's just put it, let's use this. We believe God exists, but we want God in our lives, in every ounce of our lives. We want him to be the space and the air within the threads of our life. We want him to be the captain and the head of our lives. We want God to be God, right? God said he's A, B, and C. We want him to be A, B, and C. Then wake up the next morning and start limiting exactly what we want God to do, which conflicts what asking God to do. So how can you ask God to do something and then limit what you want him to do that you asked him to do? Okay. So then we start being God. We start playing God. Now, it's one thing to ask God to be God as it pertains to your life, because he's going to be God regardless. But it's one thing for us to say, God, come in my life, A, B, and C. It's a whole different ball game when you start playing God. So now, you started off right by asking him to be there. It's kind of questionable why you decided that you wanted to limit his omnipresence as it pertains to your life. Okay. But because you feel, from your perception and the iniquity that taints it, because you feel that you could do more and this is how it should be done correctly, you take it upon yourself because you asked God to solve a problem. God solved the problem the way God wanted to solve the problem. You didn't like that, so now you decide you want to play God. And then when it backfires in your face, who are you calling to help get you out of that situation? So by that being said, because like I said, people, you have a right to be indifferent about it all. And I respect any man or woman who is indifferent about it all. With, because they feel, okay, he said A, B, and C, I didn't like that. He said some very nasty things. Okay, I'm cool. He mind his business. We just get along just fine. I get that. I respect that. But what my issue is, you finding joy. Like I said earlier, had it would have been your relatives, you would have went the hell off. Number one, okay. Now, let's really shake some stuff up. You get mad because he has attacked your community. You get mad that he has attacked your community. But you got people in your community who are attacking other communities. Let me get this straight. Let me get this. Whoa, pump the brakes. Let's take it back. You get mad at this man for saying A, B, and C about your community. Whether it's the gay community, whether it's women, whether it's, different religions, whether it's the black community, the Hispanic community, it don't matter. Whatever it is that he said that these communities are finding an offense to, all right? So we talking about these communities. You get mad that he says it, but then in your own community, you have people who are exemplifying the same level of hate that this one man said, or what this one man exemplified. Help me make sense of this. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Look, Make it make sense. That we can do, that we can get mad at somebody for doing something, yet when members in our own community do the exact same thing, what are we doing to them? What are we saying to them? And I'm not just saying it to take up for this dude, because like I said, I don't even know this dude. So my whole perception on this is just as indifferent as the next person. What I'm saying is, how can we get mad at other communities of people for saying stuff that offends our community, yet when members in our community says things about other communities, we don't hold them accountable to the same level as what somebody else said about that said community? Help me understand this, people. You want me to stand for the elimination of hate as it pertains to, and just because I am African American, we're gonna take it there. You want me, so this Caucasian man said some stuff about our community. You want me to be on board as in expressing that he was wrong for saying what he was saying. He was wrong for saying what he said. And yes, he was very wrong for saying what he said. I'm not going to disagree with what with the point you're trying to make. Because yes, he said A, B, and C. He was wrong as hell for saying it. Yes. At the same time, the same hate that this man exemplified, we got our brothers and sisters in the Black community telling our Mexican brothers and sisters to go back to Mexico. We telling them to go back to Mexico. We telling Chinese people to go back to China, or we telling Asian people to go back to Asia. We telling the Arab people, the Arabian people to go back to Saudi Arabia. We telling the Indian people to go back to India. This is what gets my nerve. This is what works my nerves. We sit here be trying to cancel white folk for saying go back to your country, when we as a Black community say the same shit that we canceling white folk over. Let me make that make sense. Honestly. So you saying they can say it and get reprimanded and held accountable, but we can say it and we get away with it? Nah. Mm-mm. That ain't how that works. That ain't how that works. Mm-mm. You telling me that as a member of the LGBT community, somebody says something homophobic, and I'm just gonna say the gay community. Let's divide this in a productive way. So you get offended that a heterosexual man or woman says something homophobic to you. Yeah, as soon as you get mad, you say and exemplify that same hate, make it differently. You exemplify that same hate in a transgender brother or sister. Oh, we quiet now. how can we as minority communities, whether it's race, sexual orientation, religion, how can we as minority communities expect equality, expect inclusion, expect diversity when, as soon as Mad Day comes around, we exemplify the same hate that we don't want done to us? I just, that confuses me. It don't confuse me, but it confuses me. How we can expect this, but don't, do we not know in order to receive, you got to give? Do we not, do we forget that? Do we forget you reap what you sow? So if you reap love, I mean, if you sow love, you reap love. Do unto others as they have them do. Do unto others as they have them do unto you. What you put out, you get back. Yin and yang. Like, have we forgotten all of this? Have we forgotten all of this? And to me, honestly, all of this and going on and how this is all being connected in some way, shape, form, a spiritual mirror effect. And what that is that we like to deflect. But in reality, what the thing is mirror the very thing that we don't like to address, and the very thing that we are not putting in any effort into fixing. When deflect, that means they don't want to be held accountable for the stuff that they know they're doing wrong and they're conscious of. When people deflect, they know something is going on within them internally. They just don't want to go through the process and finding out the full extent of what it is. And that's all this is. Y'all get mad at this dude for saying how he felt, even though, yeah, it was hateful and it was wrong. Y'all get mad at him, finding joy in his downfall, which last time I checked, any man who finds joy in another man's downfall, God will stop that punishment and when he stops that punishment, will direct it unto the person who's finding joy in the downfall of that man. Last time I checked, the power of the tongue speak life and death. So did he speak some negative ill will things in people? Yes. And whoever believes in his power shall partake in his fruit. That he may have partaken in his fruit, possibly. But it ain't about, see, it's not about what somebody else do. It's what we do. What we do as our individual self. It's always, well, this community, well, this person does it. We're not talking about that person. We're talking about you. Well, this community do it. We're not talking about that community. We're talking about your community. And this is why minority communities can't win. Because if we cannot hold our own up within our own community, how in the hell do you think that we're going to be strong enough to handle or even fight these battles that we're fighting?
And this is why I don't really hop on a lot of people's bandwagons. I may agree 100% with what they're saying, but I'm not going to hop on a lot of people's bandwagons, because if we are not aligned internally, what the hell make you think that we're going to be aligned as it pertains to the bigger picture? If we're not where we are on the inside, what makes you think we're going to be where we are on the outside? And I am not going to be on anybody's bandwagon, and all you get is confusion, discord, and a bunch of BS. Because if it was my assignment, all I got to do is pray to God. He'd give me everything I need. Or either A, I do it by myself, or B, he gives me a group of people. But darn if I'm going to sit up here and be this type of person that's not going to address the reality that what we're fighting, we sit here fighting a fight because this group of people that is different from us is saying this stuff about us. At the same time, we're saying this stuff about not only each other, but other people who are different from us. See, nope, not gonna do it. No. But we don't like when the same issues that we don't want, the same issues that we see in other people, we don't want people to highlight those same issues within us. We don't like that. That just grinds our gears. That makes us feel uncomfortable. Well, you're gonna be one uncomfortable son of a gun. Because that's what it is. You can expect to be treated a certain type of way when you, in return, don't treat other people the same type of way. Make it make sense. But that is my thoughts. It is now 1 hour and 23 minutes. I am not going to keep y'all any longer. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Tapping Into Life podcast. I am your spiritual life coach, Matthew B. I hope that this was some kind of insight to us, to where we can get ourselves together and work on the things that we need to work on, and understand that if we want stuff to happen to us, if we want to be treated in a nice way, we got to be treating other people in a nice way too. That's generally how it works. So I'm going to let you all go. Until next time, be blessed. Keep going, keep tapping in. And I will see you all next week. Take care.
Feel the energy flow. Tapping into life, we're ready to shine. With every step forward, we're crossing the line. Embrace the hustle, let the fire ignite. Together we rise, we'll conquer the night. Fast, but we're breaking the mold with a vision so clear and a heart made of gold. No fear in the face of the challenges we meet. We're paving our path, can't accept defeat. Stand up, fight back, let the doubters know. Tapping into life, we're ready to shine. With every step forward, we're crossing the line. Embrace the hustle, let the fire